Great to meet you. Thanks for taking a minute. I want to begin our conversation with 4 years ago, this whole pandemic was raging. We were trying to figure out how to get out of it. And I know it
Mhm.
really hit the creative world in a very different way than everybody else. How did you survive that time period and how did it change the way that you do things now?
Well, before that time period, I was mostly doing one-on-one classes in person, of course. And right before it hit, my family was in like a really interesting position where we sold everything 6 months before the pandemic and moved to Florida and lived on a boat for the 3 years. Now, it just so happened that the pandemic hit at that point. So I had already stopped doing lessons one-on-one and was starting very slowly to put all of my classes online through single use video content. So it started just growing from there. And right now we have about 30,000 students, and I'm trying to kind of go backwards from there instead of just being recorded video to actually having interaction with them because I really miss that. And so that's where a lot more of the live classroom stuff is starting in. So,
Okay. So let's get to the heart and soul of what you do on a daily basis right now in 2024. Let's put you in front of a bunch of grade school kids at career day. It's a third grader, and he's like, "Hey, what do you do for a living?" How do you answer him?
so what I do is I take what people think of themselves, and typically it's a lot less than what they should. And they usually don't understand that they can learn music, and I bring them through that journey of actually believing and then starting on their first instrument. That's what I specialize in. Um, and I do that through a lot of different ways. Mostly it's through my online classes, but it is one-on-one once again as well. So
Okay. So what did you want to be in the third grade? What was your dream?
I was really split between a few things, but one of the interesting parts of it was I never saw anything and said, that's what I want my life to be. Whenever I picked anything at all, I got this sinking feeling of, oh, that would be a waste of a life. Um, and so I'm fairly good at many things. So I could go into, I've done a little bit of everything in my life. And music really wasn't an option in my world. And that's probably why now I teach people that it can be an option because it wasn't something I really believed. So I think I kind of landed on at that point farming. And of all things that I'm doing right now in North Carolina is we do have a homestead, but it's not a career. It's just part of my lifestyle.
So talk to me a little bit about the seeds early on that were planted in you to be a creative and to get into music. Take me back to where you're born and raised, and how was all of this cultivated into you being a teacher and leading people to that music place of their lives?
So a big part of it was my parents. My dad was a career man. From the time I think he was 19, he got into the job that he re just retired in 2 years ago, and that was commendable. But it's something that I knew wasn't me. Like I couldn't do that. I went through going at Dunkin's at 16 to managing a large part of that Dunkin's by 18 and being like, well, I'm done with this. Like, there's not really, I don't want to own it. So I kind of got to go somewhere else. Um, but my mom she taught, there's 8 of us kids. I was second youngest of them. And she taught all of us school for a while, but then they wanted her as a teacher at a private school. So all of us kids were in that private school. It was super small school, probably only 40 kids from K through 12. And once I said, I was one of 8, so a large part of that was our family.
Yeah.
But my mom was really good at teaching English. She actually tutors still to this day. And my book that I finished, she actually edited that. And one of the things she always pushed was that everyone can write, everyone has imagination, and she gave us the space. Part of giving us space was the fact that you can't give 8 kids the amount of attention that most people want to give their kids. Allowing that space for us to do what we wanted, especially in the summers and stuff, um, really cultivated a good imagination. When I turned 8 or 9, I was really interested in music. I love singing. I used to sing with my sisters because my voice hadn't changed. I sang harmonies with them, and but I really wanted to learn piano, but I didn't think that that was possible. I don't know why. Probably someone had said it at some point, and I didn't really know any musicians that were men for piano, guitarists and stuff like that, but no pianists. And so I kind of brought it up to my mom, being like, "Oh, it's too bad that I can't learn like my sister does." Because I'm a guy, and she's like, "Wait, what?" Like, I know lots of guys who play piano, and so I started learning from her a little bit, and in from 12 to 14, I took lessons officially. But mostly they were saying, hey, you should keep practicing. And, by 2 years of saying keep practicing, I was like, well, I actually do practice on my own. So I guess I don't need lessons. And I started just doing music through high school. But I had a really good work ethic in high school. So I finished lots. I hardly had any study halls my first 3 years. And then my senior year, I was like, they're not offering any classes I love, and I only need to take like three to graduate. So I just took like those three, and the rest of the time I did music, which was violin and piano. I'm just on my own in like one of the spare rooms when I had study halls. So it was getting through that time period, and I mean, I despised high school. Like, I'm probably only one in the world who did. But no. Um, and I really needed something to get me through it. And I loved art, like charcoal drawings and stuff like that. But if I was in a bad mood, then my art was horrible, like tragically horrible. But piano and other music would kind of get me back into a place where I could see life in a different way again. And so I think that's why music really took off in high school for me, because I needed it for that reason. And I like getting back into art now, but since I had that beginning in music, it kind of like blossomed from there.
What was the first live show you saw that blew you away?
Um, so we were in a conservative Christian world. We weren't even allowed to have any music with drums in it or electric guitar or anything. We were going straight to hell if we heard that even. And I went to a bluegrass festival, and that was probably the most upbeat music I had ever seen. And it was a specific band called Nickel Creek. And their first album, they did mostly covers. And this was further on, but that first album was just amazing. And they were playing mostly that during this concert. And they had played for like 10, 15 years at that point. And so the first album was not even like something they tried to play. It's just something that was part of them. And seeing them up there without thinking about anything. Um, and everyone's seen this in a musician, if that's the difference between an amateur and a pro in, a lot of ways, is you're not thinking about the lyrics, you're not thinking about the music. They're just up there being the song. And it was seeing that for the first time that blew me away for sure.
So, who's been a hero for you? Who's been an inspiration for you in your life?
Musically or just in life?
Just in general, yeah.
Um, I think I think I've always, for both musically and as a person, I've always looked up to Lindsey Sterling. Um, Mostly because, and if people don't know about her, which would be surprising to me, she's the dancer, violinist, who just does incredible music videos. And what I loved about her was the she got so much rejection, like being on, I don't remember if it was American Idol or what, America's Got Talent, something like that, and being told, you know what, it's cute that you can dance, but you really don't have what's cut out. How about you just not do this anymore? I don't know how most people would be able to get over that. A big part of my curriculum is belief, and I think shows like that or competitions like that are disastrous for most people because they could just get that belief that they didn't win, that they're not good enough, ground into them, and it's so hard to get out of that rut. But obviously, I'm sure she struggled with it, but obviously she did, and her the way that she imagines things and puts them into music videos and stuff has always inspired me because a lot of times, especially her older stuff, are not perfect. And it's beautiful to see that you can just kind of throw it out there. And yeah, this is what I imagined, and I don't have a bazillion-dollar budget, so this is what you guys are getting. And we can all see what she wanted to show us, even though it's not, completely polished.
Yeah. So, what is your motivation every day to wake up to do the work that you do to help people to cultivate this music? What is that inspiration, that gas in your tank every day?
Um, uh, Truly the biggest part of it, everyone does things personally. Um, and s- we had some really low points after getting off the boat and coming here. It could be a few hour podcast just talking about that. So it's crazy stuff that happened and we landed here, not in the Keys, starting to do some more progressive stuff like the homestead and everything. But you really rethink everything that you've done in your life. Okay, how did I get here? Why am I here? And where do I go? And I'm in my mid 30s. My kids are 14 and 15. And um, the you think in 5-year terms, 10-year terms, and in 5 years, my kids are adults pretty much and probably kind of out of the house. So what do I want in my life before they're gone, you know? Um, so everything we've built from being here a couple of years ago till now is based on that. And what it comes down to is you need to live the life that you want and always be progressing to that next goal of the life that you want, but while still being in the moment. So that attitude is what created the new book and the mindset of trying um, to learn music. And there's such a weird separation between practice and performance or practice and accomplishment because we have this weird mentality about that in especially the US. And I kind of really want to try to meld that together without feeling disappointed with where you're at the moment. So we have a fun homestead. We have animals that I love, but we're building into eventually I'd love to get back to the Caribbean, probably Puerto Rico, and have a homestead there. But you can enjoy this as it is and be in the moment and know that you're working towards that. And in the same way with music, when you get a music student for the first time, they can be super frustrated because they can't even play a chord correctly. But we can work on a finger exercise, and all of a sudden it turns into music. And the second that you can change that exercise into a performance or an accomplishment or whatever, and they can get into a zone of really experiencing the music rather than practicing the music. And it's just a subtle mind shifts change that that has been my main goal for music rather than numbers of people or like places that I can play or things like that. It's been creating that and shift change for as many people who need it as I can reach.
So, what's the best advice you've ever gotten?
Um, my my grandfather, he passed away when I was early 20s, just a year after his wife had died. And his advice always throughout my life earlier than that was really to work hard, to, all the normal life advice, but he changed completely in that last year. So it wasn't one particular thing that he told me, but it really was a mind shift change of don't don't push everything off to sacrifice for the end, essentially. Like don't be, crazy with your life right now, but live your life for what you want it to be, and for the people in it at that moment. Because if you're just practicing for some goal, it might not get there, or you might lose the person that you want to enjoy it with before you get there. And that could be friends, family, anything.
So, if you had a dream tonight and ran into the 17-year-old version of you, 18-year-old version of you, and you could give that young version of you a piece of advice based on this life you've led, the wisdom you've gained along the way, what advice would you give your younger self?
Um, Most likely I would let them know um that the it really comes down to belief. I had so much concern back then about what people thought, and the weird thing is knowing that myself 15 years later, 20 years later, um, says, "Oh, you have everything in you to do anything you want." It would be that acceptance of my future self. But having a confidence in yourself that no, you don't have it all together. You don't know what you need to know because you're never going to. I've I've come in contact with some incredible people in many different fields, as I'm sure you have, and they they only know the very tip of of what they know, and you can just keep going further and further in that same direction. But every single thing that you learn, you can learn more about. So don't try to learn it all. Just learn what you want to learn and go in that direction.
So, of everything that you've done and evolved into up to this point, what are you the proudest of?
Um, I'm proudest of my family. We've gone through some interesting time periods between the life on the boat and getting here, and they have been always ready for the next thing, always happy to grow and to move. And part of that is both my kids are Pisces, so they are happy to change their minds whenever they want. But I'm so proud that we can all still be working in the same direction because my wife and I have been married 17 years, and I've seen a lot of people not not stay together that long, and their kids hate them. And just the fact that we can be a happy family and not even being cheesy about that, we actually and we're probably all of our best friends. And part of that's because we moved around. Um, and that's probably the most proud that I could be of.
So, if everyone out there has a perception of you, family, friends, clients, but you run the show, what's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
Um, I am uh, I'm a creator. It took me a long time to kind of put that label on it, and it seems really simple, but I I can see things that for some reason not everyone always does, and I know that we can do it. So seeing that, oh well, we like to go in that direction, let's do this, and we'll get there in this way. Do we always do it? No, because life happens and we change our minds and all of this type of stuff. But I believe that's kind of who I am. I've seen so many people just kind of get stuck in their lives. And once again, that kind of pulls that sinking feeling into myself, because they're not stuck because that's where they want to be, or that they have to be. They just don't see a way out or don't decide to take it. And I'm the one who usually decides that we're going in that direction.
So, Micah, if anyone wants to hire you, get your book, reach out, any other good business, where do they go?
My website is speakingmusic.online, and you can really find all my resources there. Your listeners specifically, I'm gonna send you a link that has my audiobook on my website, so they can just log on and listen to that for free if they would enjoy that. That will be, I believe it's. I'll send you the link.
Okay,
I
cool.
think it's slash audiobook, but that's the easiest place to get it, and that has online classes and all of that built in.
Okay, excellent. Micah, this has been such a great story. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your story. Thank you for your work. I
Thank you.
appreciate your time today.
All right. You have a wonderful day too. Thank
You
you.
too. Take care. See ya.